Okay, so Sarah, let's start.
Yes. So I hope everyone is hearing now. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar. This is Sarah from Prescription Department of LS Electric Middle East. Today webinar about our electric air circuit breakers. I wish it would be useful for all of us. I just want to mention also that LSIS had changed its corporate name to LS Electric. This name change reflects our strong commitment to developing energy technologies for the future. Thanks for joining our online training and happy Ramadan to everyone. Stay safe. Thank you. Mr. Rashid, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah. And good morning. Assalamu alaikum to all the attendees. Thank you for attending this webinar today. Today's topic of discussion will be mainly related to our air circuit breakers. So before going into the air circuit breakers, I wanted to talk more about, in general, about the circuit breakers, the different types of circuit breakers, and then come into LS Metasol and Susol series. During that presentation, I will also be running our ACB video to explain more about our ACBs. After that, we will look into what's the new in our product range. And finally, we will go into question and answer sessions. Since it's a one-to-one session of webinar, I believe it is better I do the presentation first. And meanwhile, whenever you feel like asking a question, there is a question and answer box. Please type your question in that. Definitely at the end of the session, I will come back to you one-on-one. I will unmute your mic and you can ask your questions. I hope it's clear, and let's begin the session. I would like to make it as short as possible and as interesting as possible. Today, most of our customers, our distributors, as well as our channel partners, panel builder partners have joined. So there is no outside customers. So any questions openly you can ask directly to LS, to me. So there is only our own partners basically in this webinar. And in support panelists to take in your questions, we have Gaurang as well supporting me. Also the sales team, Nirmal, Sansan, Vinay and Henry is together as well. And Mr. Lee is also joined us. If there is any particular question, we are open to ask at the end of the session. As Sarah pointed out here, as you know, that a new beginning for us with LS Electric. So we have changed from LSIS identity to LS Electric, which I believe you will be seeing mostly on the social media as well as our advertisement campaigns, that we are now known as LS Electric. Now coming to the question, what is a circuit breaker? I believe most of you will definitely know circuit breaker is a device which can make or break a circuit manually or by remote control under normal conditions or under fault conditions. It is also to break a circuit automatically under fault condition like overcurrent, short circuit, etc. So the basic function of the circuit breaker is to isolate and protect from fault current, or also to on off the equipment, as we all know. Coming to the different types of high voltage circuit breakers, you know, there are air circuit breakers, there are SF6 type of circuit breakers, vacuum circuit breakers, oil circuit breakers. The difference is the medium of interruption. In air circuit breaker, it's air. In SF6 medium, it's SF6 gas. In vacuum circuit breaker, it's used vacuum technology, vacuum interrupters. And in oil circuit breaker, which is now almost an outdated or a very old concept, using oil. And as you see in LV side, in the LV section, we have incoming section which is transformers, and then we have the main switchboards, and we have the sub main switchboards, and then we have the distribution board control panels. So if you see, most probably an air circuit breaker is used, towards the incoming side near to the transformer where you have high breaking capacities basically. And then in sub-main distribution boards, you normally use an MCCBs. And towards the final distribution boards, you normally use a miniature circuit breakers. We will be talking about the molded case circuit breakers and miniature circuit breakers in the coming webinars. Today, we are mainly going to concentrate on air circuit breakers. Now, generally in a circuit breaker, what is the concept? The concept is there are two types of contact, a fixed contact and a moving contact. The moving contact is generally used to make and break the circuit using stored energies in the form of spring or compressed air. So normally a spring or a pneumatic or oil damping is used to arrest the speed of the moving contact while closing. I would like to share, or just to make it more interactive, let's see how, basically, if you see here, this is how we can say, I'm not so good at drawing that too on this. Let's say this is a fixed contact, and let's say this is a moving contact. Okay, so this is during the closed operation, and the fixed contact does not move normally. Let's say it's sitting like here, and let's say a fault current suddenly comes in, so and an arc is generated. Let's say this is an arc. Okay, so the moving contact is isolating and protecting the downstream equipment by isolating. Now, how to quench this arc and what is the medium of quenching this arc is basically what are the different types of breakers that you are using. So let's come back to the, okay. Also, one of the important things that you need to know in a circuit breaker, like an air circuit breaker or like a vacuum circuit breaker, is the tripping coils. There are two types of coils. One is closing coil, as a tripping coil. So these two are normally you use a battery backup to energize these coils, so that even if the power is suddenly not there and you need to remotely shut it down or do the closing of the breaker, you can still do it using the battery backup. And one of the most important coils are the closing coil and trip coils. Comparing to any other circuit breakers in the market, you have to be more careful with the quality of these coils, because if these coils does not work, maybe you will not be able to remotely shut down the breaker, or when you are using a trip unit mechanism, which is the brain of the SCB, to give the input to these tripping coils, and these tripping coils will do the tripping of the breaker. So the tripping coil quality is also very important, which normally people will look into. So air circuit breakers, to be specific, let's talk more about air circuit breakers. Air circuit breakers are the circuit breakers that uses air, where air blasts as an arc quenching medium at atmospheric pressure, and that is why it is called as ACB. So it has a separate ACB arc, air arc chutes, where the arc is gone and the atmosphere and the air is pressurized, air is let into it to quench the arc. Now coming to the ACB, I believe most of you would have definitely seen the air circuit breakers. I just want to, before going into the deeply about LS air circuit breakers, I wanted to speak more about in general about what do you see in front of the air circuit breakers. Now, of course, as I said, one of the main brain of the air circuit breaker is the trip unit. So every air circuit breaker, definitely on the front panel, you might see a trip unit. These trip unit can be with display or sometimes without display. In our case, generally we are giving as a basic standard display screen. So this is what you can see as the trip relay. Number one, which you see here, is the trip relay. And then, of course, you will always have the on and off button. Okay, generally, it is always accessible from the front side. And then you also will have a manual charging hand lever actually. And the breaker that you're seeing on screen is basically a draw out type breaker. That is why it has a cradle outside. And of course, the label of the ACB. I will in detail also let you know about our selection. What are the different types of breakers that we have today. So from the front label, you will be able to identify what is the rating of the breaker, what is the frame size of the breaker, and what is also basically the number of poles. Number of poles you can also identify from the rear side, whether it's a 3-pole breaker or whether it's a 4-pole breaker. And where is the neutral? It can be either on the right side, it can be either on the left side. These are also basically marked on the front side, on which side the neutrals are. Now coming to air circuit breaker of LS, let's divide the topics into 3 main topics, which is design and quality, what are the benefits, and the references and approvals. So first, to talk about the design and quality, I will run a short video. Okay. So during the video, I will pause and explain to you what are the different types of breakers that we have. In the first, what you can see here, we have basically 2 range. One is Susol, another one is Metasol. In Susol ACBs, we have up to 150 Ka breaking capacity in 3 different frame sizes. And in Metasol, we have up to 120 Ka with 4 different frame sizes. So these are basically the 2 options that we currently have, Susol ACBs and Metasol ACBs. Now, what are the differences? We can look into it. In Susol lineup, as I said, we have 3 different frame sizes. And if you see here, our width, height, and depth, in comparison with the current market lineup, we are also in the compact segment. We are not oversized breakers, unlike there are other manufacturers which are having oversized breakers. But in case if you see our 1600 ampere frame size, it's only 3-pole is only 334 mm, which is 33.4 centimeters. Now here you can also note that our height and depth remains the same. Irrespective of all the frame sizes, the height as well as the depth remains the same. So it is convenient for panel builders. Basically the depth of the panel can be very much same for all the breakers. So only the width will keep changing. Now coming to Metasol series, here we have 4 different frame sizes, unlike the Susol. Now Susol I didn't explain because there are 3 frame sizes, whereas the 3 frame sizes are available here in Metasol also. So you can see in Metasol we have one additional frame size, which is the 4000 to 5000 amps frame size. The initial frame size, which you can see is represented here as up to 2000 amp frame size. In this Middle East condition, we normally use up to 1600 amps in the first frame size. This is because of the temperature rise 50 degrees to be used here, as well as you want to use it in horizontal vertical segment. So if you choose 2000 amps in the first frame size, horizontally it is difficult to get 50 degrees. So we recommend to use up to 1600 amps the first frame size. The second frame size, we recommend to use from 2000 amps up to 3200 amps. And the third frame size for 4000 to 5000, and the final one from 4000 up to 6300 ampere frame size. Now, if you see these are the 4 different frame sizes. Now in Susole and Metasole, the difference between both is that the Ka rating in Susole is a higher Ka rating for the same frame size. For example, up to 2000 amps, the first frame size. In Susole, it can be up to 85K, whereas in Metasole, it is up to 65K. Obviously, in this market, whether it is Diva, Siva, Advia, or even in Qatar, Doha, or Kuwait, anywhere, the near to the transformer is normally 50K. So our first frame size itself already 65K. So we are able to meet the minimum requirement with Metasole itself. The second frame size, which is up to 4000 amps, we call it the E frame. So generally how we represent the first frame is B frame, E frame, F frame, and G frame. Now, if you register that in your mind, D, E, F, G, our selection of breakers and selection of cradle will be very easy. So always note that in LS, the first frame size of D frame, E frame, F frame, and G frame. Now coming to the E frame, it is already 85 Ka at 500 volt, which I believe is more than sufficient in this market. Now moving forward, you can see that our all air circuit breakers are completely modularized design. Means all the components can be dismantled, which means in terms of servicing and maintenance, it is very simple. You can see from the video, there is a moving contact and there is an arc chamber, or different types of accessories, trip relay, and the trip relay base, as well as the covers, etc., and the cradle. So it is a complete modularized design, which means there is no welded parts outside. This allows you for easily accessing all the accessories and maintaining the ACB as and when required, even at the site. Now coming to product reliability, you can see here that, as I said, we have breakers up to 150 Ka, completely tested, with impulse withstand voltage 12 kV. So normally for a low voltage switchboard, the maximum impulse withstand voltage that is required will be 12 kV, which is already, even it is less than 12 kV, in fact 10 kV or so, but already our air circuit breakers can meet 12 kV. And all the range from Susole to Metasole air circuit breakers completely ICS is equal to ICU, which I will be showing you in during the tests. As you can see, ICS equal to ICU means 3 times the same short circuit capacity it is able to withstand. Open, close open, and close open for the second time. So totally 3 times the short circuit capacity can be withstand by the same air circuit breaker. Safety and reliability, there are certain optional accessories which comes as a standard in Susole and as an optional accessory in Metasole. For example, zero arc space cover. Now the use of zero arc space cover is if you have a couple of ACBs to be mounted with minimum distance, or when you want to run a bus bar, live bus bar, without enough clearance from the air circuit breaker, then you can use an zero arc space cover. This allows you to mount a live bus bar or an ACB without a minimum clearance distance. Manual reset button. This is when there is a fault, and if you don't want a remote operation to happen, then the manual reset button will ensure that the ACB will not be turned on by remote functions. This is an additional optional feature as well. And while using the, sorry, I just come back to the same position. Okay. And for the drawout ACBs, we are normally providing a shaft to withdraw the ACBs. Now, if an unskilled worker wants to remove the ACB from a live position, he has to first make sure that the button is in off condition. Without the off condition, the crankshaft will not be going into the cradle. So we make sure that the safety measures are intact, then only they will be able to withdraw the ACB. And the physical condition like connected, test position, and the disconnected positions are basically marked physically in front of the cradle. Customer convenience, we normally call the trip unit the brain of the ACB. And if you see, very few manufacturers allow the replacement of trip relays. In fact, not only replacement, sometimes we can even upgrade the trip relay even from the site. So LS ACBs, you can remove the auxiliary, the trip relay, even without withdrawing the basic circuit breaker, only by removing the aux cover and then remove the 3 screws, and it's a plug-in type of trip relay, and it can be easily taken out and replaced. Another advantage of our ACBs are the rear connections. Whereas some of the manufacturers, you need to mention the type of rear connection that is required during ordering of the ACB. Whereas LS, up to 2500 ampere frame size or up to 2500 ampere rating, you can change the connections from horizontal to vertical, even at your factory, without any prior ordering from LS. And different types of connections like rear terminal, front access type connection, etc., can be also ordered separately as per your requirement. Coming to the next segment, which is, as I said, the brain of the ACB, the trip relay. Now here also we have some advantages. At LS, we normally offer the most possible trip unit mechanism. Most advantage on the trip unit is that all the protection functions like long time, short time, instantaneous, as well as ground fault is inbuilt in all the range of trip units that we sell. So we have 4 different types of trip unit: N type, A type, P type, and S type. As you can see in the first one, the N type is without display and the A type is with display. So A type, or the ammeter type, which can display the current. And if you see, the LCD screen is a 7-line LCD screen. And it has the basic protection function, long time, short time, instantaneous, and ground fault inbuilt. Apart from that, optional like fault recording as well as communication option is available in A type. And in P type, all the functions of A type are there. On top of that, there is power meter, protection, additional protection functions like under voltage, over voltage, over frequency, under frequency, voltage imbalance, current imbalance, etc. And fault recording facility. In P type, communication option comes as a standard option. Sorry, the video is getting disconnected sometimes, sorry. And finally, we have the S type. In S type, as you can see, all the functions of P type is there, plus power quality, total harmonic distortion, etc. is added function in the S type. So these are the different types of trip units that we are offering. We also have Ocr Tester, which can be normally used for a factory acceptance test if you want to show your consultant on the different tripping time, etc., and make sure that the ACB is working properly. You can buy an Ocr Tester and keep it, and it will connect to all our digital trip relays for all the frame sizes. Now, coming to the different options, we are able to match all the requirements generally required in this market. I can say more than 99% of all the accessories that any manufacturer can provide, we can also provide. Motor mechanism, closing coil, shunt trip, UVT, trip unit. And these are all the same for all the frame sizes and for all the ratings, irrespective whether it's 630 amps up to 6,300 amps. we are able to offer you the same accessories. And then we have mechanical interlock, door interlock for ATS functions, additional auxiliary key lock, and counters, button lock, misinsertion prevention devices, manual reset button, etc. And another beautiful advantage of our ACB is that all these accessories can be customized by yourself or by your panel builder partner and at your factory itself. You can add a key lock, you can add motor mechanism, you can add shunt trip closing coil, etc. from your side. Even all these inner accessories like shunt trip closing coil, you don't need to even have a special tool. You just need to open the front cover and it sits into its own slot, and the connectivities are also easy to be done. Of course, all our ACBs, we have complete type test certification, CB certificate, which I'll be showing you later as well. And we have marine certifications like Lloyd's, DNV, ABS, etc. as well. So those are regarding our design and quality, and we are very proud of our air circuit breakers because we have been very, very, very minimum quality claims on our ACBs. So we are very confident on the ACBs, and it's economical as well as a good quality product. Now coming to the benefits. One of the major factor, since the transformer ratings are increasing, which is that is why the KA rating or the short circuit capacity is also increasing. So one major factor for all of the contractors or clients in the market is what? Is the size of the breaker. How can we reduce the size of the breaker? How can we ensure that the LV room does not go beyond a particular capacity? So for that reason, we are ensuring that the ACB size is not very big. It should be economical size. Secondly, we have tested it in our panels so that the compartment size can also be minimized, and we have achieved higher short circuit capacities on the same frame size. So if you see even a very big developer, like for example Dubai Mall, you can see there are more than 25 electrical rooms, and for them each and every space is costing money. So people want to reduce the LV room size. So keeping the breaker compact is a very important factor. And in our case, we are already economically sized. Second one is, of course, to use a reliable protection. If you don't use a reliable protection, you can see a video like this. If the breaker does not trip on time, or if the fault current is not protected properly, we can expect such kind of scenarios that can happen during an actual maintenance time. So what we have normally do is we test our circuit breakers. Here I would like to share a video of testing between 2-3 different manufacturers. I don't want to take the name of the manufacturer, let's say B and A. So you can see with the same short circuit capacity, if the breaker is not good enough to withstand, this is what it can happen. It can lead to fire. It can lead to complete damage of the breaker. It can even lead to damage of your downstream equipments. So you can see the difference here between NLS and the A type and B type of ACBs. With the same short circuit fault current, this is what has happened if the breaker is not good quality. So it's very important that even though ACBs are normally very silently sitting inside an LV panel for many years, but when a fault current happens, this is how it should quench, and the arc should be contained and should not lead to a fire or a disaster. So this is why breaking time is very important. Now coming here, as I said, the breaking time, the downstream equipment, how fast it breaks is very important. This is in comparison with a very well-known brand in this market. As you can see, this is a very slow motion video. You can see the arc quenching time is very much similar or even better. to a European manufacturer, as you can see on the background. So our breakers are well equipped, much good in quality, as well as economically priced. Now coming to total discrimination. Why we need total discrimination? Let's see if there is no discrimination, what will happen. If there is a fault in a downstream breaker, your upstream breaker, as well as your ACB is tripping, what does this do? This will make cut off all the power to the complete building, or to the complete, let's say if it's a manufacturing unit, the complete manufacturing unit will be shut down. So it is cost and it is not efficient. Now, if you use a completely discrimination based thing and you are able to move the curves according to your requirement, which we have completely the data sheet on our ACBs catalog between ACB of Metasol and Susol MCCBs, wherein you can ensure 100% discrimination between the upstream and downstream breakers. So this is the difference between using a total discrimination or without using a total discrimination. So that is why, you know, consultants keep asking discrimination study, and we have a software which will be capable to confirm to you what is the discrimination level between the upstream and downstream breaker. Apart from that, as I said in the catalog, there's a complete data sheet. Of course, the benefit, I think this I have covered in the video as well. You can, you know, one of the option between horizontal and vertical. And our ACBs are now BMS capable as well, whereas communication option are a small Modbus, as well as the new technology, which I'll be talking in the what's new section, is also available in our air circuit breakers. And most important is, of course, the ACB is a good quality. Now, how to integrate it with an LV panel. So that's why we have our own type tested systems, wherein these breakers have been put into the actual enclosure system and type tested. Also, temperature rise test has been done at 50° and 55° ambient for some of the frame sizes inside our panels, and we have type test certificates. So we have panel builders who are adhering to the franchise panel building system, or we have authorized panel builders also who can provide qualified panels to the market. So we have a complete integration between MCCBs, ACBs, and the panel boards. Finally, the most important part is references. Of course, you have a good quality product, a good design, type tested product, but ultimately the important thing is references. Worldwide, we have sold more than 500,000 ACBs. This data is actually a little bit old, maybe 3 to 4 years old. So I believe 250,000, sorry, more. It is now maybe much more than that. And we have been supplying our ACBs, especially in South Korea, to prominent OEM companies like KEPCO, Samsung, semiconductor factories, hospitals, banks, etc. You can see our supply record, more than 46% in the domestic market is to industries. And we are supplying specific Susol ACBs to nuclear power plants even. So in terms of supply record, we are proud of our ACBs, and it has been used in many different industries, and the quantity is going up and up. If the last 3 years, the quantity must have doubled, because we are supplying to a lot of renewable energy companies. We are OEM branding as well to many of the companies. So the number of ACB supplies has drastically shot up in the last 3 years. We are also supplying our ACBs to utility companies like in Saudi Arabia for unit substation projects. Even in Diva, we have supplied our ACBs for unit substation projects. So it's not just domestic. Globally, of course, 45% of or 40% of our export is now international markets. So we have sold our ACBs globally as well. And coming to the certification, as I said, all our ACBs are as per the CB certificate scheme, IEC, IEC, EEE. If you go to this website, certificates.iecee, and just put our certification name, you can always get what is the final update that we have done. if you can see, IEC standard keeps changing, 60947, 2006, then 2008, 2009, and 2013. So now our air circuit breakers already has been upgraded up to 2013, the latest edition. I believe there is one more edition which has come after that, and we are under process to upgrade it to that edition as well. So the certificate is the same. It will be the same certificate number, only the additional new tests will be done and upgraded or updated onto the same system. So if you go to this website, just put this type test certificate number, you will be able to check whether it's ACB is our own ACB, as well as the model, as well as the ratings, all the ratings. Now, if there are two certificates here, so if you put the two certificates, you can see all the rating it covers, right? From 630 or 400 amps up to 6,300 amps. Now coming to what's new, there are just several more slides and I'm done, and we can go into question and answer session. Now coming to what's new, as you all know that there is the era is now changing to IoT or Internet of Things, where you need dual communication. Means you need the equipment to be thinking by itself as well as giving data to the BMS system. So we have developed new trip relays, which is very soon coming into the launching. It is already developed. The prototype has been already, we started displaying in several exhibitions. You can see it is a touch screen basically with inbuilt Bluetooth NFC communication. Now, what are the advantages here? Apart from the normal ACBs that we are having, we have new options of contact wear alarm. We have several upgraded more number of protection functions, etc. I'll not be talking in detail because the product is not available here right now, but just to give an idea that we are ready. We are ready with these kind of trip relays as well. Now this trip relay can be connecting directly through Bluetooth or NFC to your mobile application, where the application is also developed by LS. And we can monitor what is the current position of the ACB, how is the contact wear and tear, whether it's time to replace it or not. Is there a temperature going? If we add the temperature module, we can check whether the temperature is okay or it's being overload, or we can generally know if there is any fault coming much before it happens. Secondly, we have also launched more compact version of our ACBs up to 1,600 amps. It is similar to the Metasol and Susol series. We call this compact Susol series, where you could only mount 2 or 3 breakers. Now we are able to mount in the more than 6 breakers in the same section. So it is reducing the size of the panel by almost 50%. And the compactness is also more than 50% comparing to the normal breakers. In what's new section, we also have DC breakers in the same Metasol and basically in Susol section. DC, normal DC and UL DC as well. This is mainly used for renewable energy. And we are ready up to 1,500 volt. That's about ACBs. I believe I have covered in general what is ACB, the range that we have, advantage, the benefits, as well as the options that we can provide. Now, during the selection of the breakers, I would like to just very briefly, I know the time is up, but I will just very briefly show you looking into the catalog. Now, if you see, as I said, we have Susol and Metasol type of breakers. So we generally denote it by AH type is for Susol, and AS and AN type is for Metasol. Now, when you're selecting the breakers, the most important part, some criteria as a salesman, I believe some of you are a salesperson, what criteria that we need to know is whether the breaker is a draw type, whether it's a fixed type, what is the rating that is required, and also we need to know what are the functions that is required. In general, in Dubai or in any other GCC countries, normally for a residential commercial project, LSI function is enough. So we use A type or our AG type breakers, trip unit, which is already having LSIG function. Now, so let's say if we want to choose a 1600 ampere breaker, okay, we will first choose the AN type, which is basically the type of circuit breaker, and then come to the 1600 frame size. So AN 16 D is the, as I said, we need to remember, if we need to choose the cradle size of the breaker, we normally need to know D, E, F, G frame. So we come to D frame, and then the number of poles, whether it's 3 or 4 pole. So here we have, when you come to 4 pole, we have two options. We can either have the neutral on the right side or the neutral on the left side. Generally, we are RSTN. So neutral will be on your right side when you're facing the front and the ACB is in front of you. So if you choose D frame, it will come as RSTN. And then you need to choose the trip unit rating. So let's say if it's 1600, it will be AN16D316. And the last, and here, this is basically to know whether it's a fixed type or a withdrawable type. When it's a withdrawable type, you basically standard choose A type. Don't go for J type because J type is manual connection. So you normally choose always A type. And if it's a fixed type, you need to know what horizontal bus bar or vertical bus bar. So you choose it H or V, or you can have a combination of horizontal and vertical by choosing M or N type. So that is basically the basic circuit breaker. Now, what are the accessories you need? Normally we choose here MA D0 D0 AX, which means MA means manual, which is without motor. Shunt D0 means no shunt trip, no closing coil D0. And AX, of course, AX we choose normally DC because 5NO, 5NC we are giving a standard, which is more than enough in this one. And then the trip unit. NG0 we are giving here AG5, or in Saudi Arabia it is AG1. And then U0 without UVT coil. Now, why we do MA D0 D0 here is because all these accessories can be later on added by yourself. So it's easy. We keep stock of MA D0 D0 BX AG5 in here or in our distributor's warehouse. And anytime you want to make it motorized or add shunt trip or closing coil, you can do it easily at your end. So that is a general knowledge on how to select our ACBs. You can go through the catalog. The catalog is available on www.lsis.com. So with that, I would like to stop my session for today and start our question and answer session. So I think Gaurang, you can come in here so that I can know if there is anybody who wants to ask a question.
Yeah, Mr. Mohammed has asked one question. His question was related with the 3-pole and 4-pole breaker, whether the neutral CT is required or not.
Mr. Mohammed from?
External.
Mohammed Salaj or Mohammed? There are two Mohammed basically.
Only Mohammed. Mr. Mohammed has asked.
I have asked, okay, I've unmuted him. Mr. Mohammed, can you hear me?
His question was that LSACB contain the ground fault protection? Yes. Yes, it's contained. And the questions are, if we use the 3-pole ACB, we should add an external CT for neutral or not?
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Mohammed, you can hear me? Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Rashid?
Yes, how are you?
Fine, alhamdulillah. Muhammad Asad from Rulaco.
Oh, yes, Mr. Asad, how are you?
For ground fault, okay, for ACB ground fault, for 3-pole and 4-pole, we should add CT or not?
It's a good question. There are two types of fault, basically ground fault and earth leakage fault. Okay, for earth leakage fault, yes, you need a separate CT from our side. For ground fault, however, our ACB is working on the principle of current imbalance principle. So the standard ACBs that you're using with ground fault LSIG, you don't need to add a CT. There is no need of CT for 3-pole or whether it's 4-pole. But if in our same specification, we have an option where you want precisely to use the neutral input, then there is a trip unit function, which is AN type, I believe. I can let you know the exact type. Now there is an additional trip unit where you can get the neutral CT input also. But in AG5 trip unit, there is no provision to get the neutral input. So it works on current imbalance principle.
If the load not balanced.
If the load not balanced, then you will have to go for another type of trip unit is there. I think it is a GN type or something. I can let you know. In that, you will have an input for CT option as well. Then you can use any neutral CT. It need not be specific neutral CT. 5 amps, the primary current to 5 amps neutral CT, and you can get if the load is unbalanced. But generally, the load here, normally the consultant or normally the design engineer plan is balanced load. That is why here till many years we have been supplying AG5, and in your case AG is AG0 or AG1, right? And it has been working with ground fault without any problem.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And also about compact ACB.
Yes.
Yeah. Until now we didn't start order this ACB.
We have, yeah, we are still waiting for some orders. If you can get some orders, we can definitely order. Our product is ready. We have given you some sample also. I think we did some seminars in Saudi Arabia also, right?
Yes.
So the breaker codes are also ready now. We can actually compact ACB. We are ready to take in orders. Basically.
Thank you, Mr. Rashid.
Welcome.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
And one more, there is a Mr. Krishnan Thampi who has asked what is the general difference between AS and AN type. So can you please put some little bit on that one?
Yeah. I think I have also unmuted Mr. Krishnan Thampi. Maybe he can.
Hello.
Yeah, Mr. Krishnan Thampi. You're from?
Yeah, I'm from Gamma Electrical.
Yes, tell me.
Yeah, just I wanted to know. I think Nirmal has given me a reply regarding the frame sizes.
Yeah, AN and AS type is basically two different frames. I mean, in Metasol, up to 1600, we have AN type, or we call it the D frame is AN type. And above
Okay.
D frame, which is E frame, F frame, we call it AS type. That's the basic differences between AN and AS type.
And one more question was regarding the OCR test kit. Is it a regular requirement for you? Generally, the panel builders do buy this OCR requirement.
They do buy. Some of them have you just have to buy one piece from us, and they can use it for all the ACBs. So there are some panel builders in UAE market, in Saudi Arabia market, who has already bought the OCR tester from us. The advantage with the OCR tester is, yes, I wanted to. It's a good question as well, because I wanted to say during the presentation time, if you are using a self-powered trip relay, when you're doing the FAT or when you're doing the testing inside your panel building assembly floor, the trip unit may not work, because only when 20% load is there, then only the trip unit will work. So in such cases, if there is a consultant who wants to do FAT and test the OCR tester will do the secondary injection. So you can power on the OCR and show the OCR functions to the customer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yes. Anybody? Any other questions?
Mr. Parag Raichura has also asked that you have the software to perform the discrimination studies. So Nirmal has already replied.
Yeah, we do have the software. The software is, it was available on the website. Now, once we changed the website and some upgradation is going on. So I think the new version will come in very soon. But if you need a copy, our salesperson can provide you the copy.
And from SMS also, Mr. Tawfiq has asked that technical team, suppose if need to go and perform the ACB test at the site also, it's possible. So
yeah, Tawfiq, yeah, I've unmuted Tawfiq as well. He can come in. Yeah, Tawfiq, you can hear? Hello. You can speak.
He's
now.
unmuted, but I don't think so.
Yeah, he can speak. Yeah, he's able to speak. Yeah, Tawfiq. Yeah.
Good afternoon. Regarding the ACBs, this is the main main part of LV panels.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the panel builders and some site peoples, sometimes they require the installation and some technical clarification. So they need your support. Like
we are so technical clarification. We are always there. Now at site, normally we are not having a service engineer ready here.
Technical clarification is I'm doing that my side.
Yeah, yeah.
So what they are suggesting, they are telling sometimes physically visit the site. So the clarify the issue, like the panel is,
we as I said, see, we are ready to, if there is any issue, our salesperson is ready to visit the site.
Yeah.
But through the panel builder is much better, because panel builder are obviously the one who is installing it, and we can get our backup from Korea anytime. We have the facility to get a complete countermeasure what has to be done. So up to now we feel confident on ACBs. Wherever we have faced, we have been able to clear the things. So initially contact our salespeople.
Very rarely, telling, very rarely some panel builders itself, not the.
We can look into it. It's better, we can involve our salesperson. Then he will be able to coordinate with Korea and get.
I need more support in that particular field. Rest of things is going good. Very nice.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Any other questions? Should I unmute? Can unmute most of them if required. Anybody can raise the hand as well if you want to ask a question. I'm ready to take in any question. John Paul.
Mr. Jejo John has also asked. John Paul.
John Paul, I've unmuted you. Yeah.
Hi, Mr. Rashid.
Yes, Mr. Paul. You are from which?
I'm from Kuwait. We are from IEPC.
Okay. Yes.
My question is, in the AAA unit you told that is there in the VCB.
Mm-hmm.
What is the mode of communication that we can use that is compatible with PMS or SCADA?
See, we have different options available right now. The existing one in A type or P type, which you can add, Modbus RS485 is possible.
Mm-hmm.
And in the new one, I think it is upgraded to even IoT, so it can Ethernet, USB, Bluetooth communication, NFC. Many different protocols has been added. But definitely the basic protocol, which I think for the BMS is RS485 and Ethernet, Modbus communication. These two is there by default.
It's there by default. All right.
Yeah.
Good.
Default for the communication option, the trip relay. In AG, if you say AC6, in A type we have AC6, and P type it's basic P case 6 or something like that. So in the P type it's coming as basic function communication.
The P type. All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Welcome.
And Jejo Johnson is also from Jeda Motors. He has asked one question for P-type trip unit independent communication slots for power monitoring. So the question didn't get it. So Jejo, can you please?
Jejo, I've unmuted him.
Can you please?
Hi everyone, how are you?
Hi.
Hi, fine.
Jejo.
All good, all good. Thank you for this event webinar first of all.
Welcome.
So anyway, see my question is, you have told me that in P-type AAA, that you have a communication slot as well as for the power monitoring, right?
Yes.
So can the BMS people use this instead of going for another power quality meter or something like that?
I will have to come back to you on that question in detail. I'm not very sure about the availability of different slot. I know the communication option is there and the different module is also there. But if you want more clarification on that, rather than me answering, I think I will get back to you after checking with our technical team.
Yeah, my concern is like if you are proposing this P-type AAA to the local panel builders.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they can save some money with this power quality additional meters. So they can incorporate.
You mean
this.
Okay?
Yeah.
PMU. You mean to PMU, but PMU function. I know there is power quality meter, but we can cross-verify what in P-type. What are the references it is using? Definitely, a voltage module might be required, but whether it will be PMU, and normally another thing is there.
Yeah.
Normally in site, they don't want to use the PMU inside the ACB. They always want the PMU outside the ACB to refer to the actual ratings are matching or not. That is why they use a separate PMU. So even though our ACB P-type will have a power quality analysis, PMUs will be needed still separately because PMU should be independent of the equipment. This is generally what they ask in the consultant or the sites.
Yes. I was just asking a marketing point of view because we have an option and I just want to use the.
Yeah, and
we can
also,
check that. Yeah.
Jaja, also one thing in last year also from your switchgear factory, they have supplied for one of the project with they have used the S-type trip unit. And we have supplied the breaker. So Amar Sadiq is the right person, or Afifi. If you ask him that, you will get it much more better, clear picture on that one because they have used this kind of breaker.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, and I think I would like to mention here, Mr. Hafiz of Rolako is saying, and that it is definitely for me also a brushing of my, brushing of the knowledge basically. So it's just sharing between each other what is our products and the details of the product, etc. So that it will be helpful for both ways. And anybody else who is raised a hand who would like to ask any question? And are there any open questions still remaining? No. So I can say that it's now almost an hour. So thank you all for joining. I would like to request Mr. Lee, you would like to come in and let's close the session.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. And I would like to appreciate for your participation for this seminar and training. And I hope this kind of information is very helpful for your business as well. This is just a starting, so we will prepare the other technical information as well. Somehow, according to your question and answer, I catch your point, and we will do our best to supply all the field, including the after service as well. And I will do my best to organize those kind of support with the LSIS factory as well. Okay, thank you very much, everyone, and have a nice weekend. And it's just the starting of the Ramadan, and be careful for your safety as well. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Ramadan Kareem to all, and thank you. Wassalam.